Okay, so we're recording now. So thank you, Luke, for doing this with me and having this chat with me. I really appreciate it. So I
Absolutely.
wanted to ask you what and how, where did you get into food and cooking? And I know you were in the restaurant industry for a long time. Is that where it started? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I guess, well, I always thought it's like, well, everybody's got to eat it, right? So might as well make it delicious or figure out how to make it delicious. And then also, I think, yeah, just being in restaurants, being around food constantly. I mean, I've probably been in restaurants ever since I was 18. I mean, out of them now, but
did you
I
cook with your
think,
dad all the time growing up?
I mean, yeah, like yes and no. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
think like everyone's like, oh yeah, I remember like always like I would sit on the countertop and do the meatball. I didn't do any of that. I don't think, like I was like, no, like feed me. I mean, this is delicious. I'm gonna eat all of it, but like I don't really care to know how you make this stuff.
Mhm.
So
So
I
did
don't
you
really.
cook in the restaurants or were you more on
No,
the
I mean I
server
was strictly
side and
front
you
of house.
okay.
So
But you just got into it and you were around food and
definitely into it around food. Also even like I always like the cooks and like chefs would always make fun of me because I would always be in the kitchen a lot of times. They would be like, you're the
mhm.
only like bartender or server that literally just hangs out in the kitchen. And I'm like, what do you? And I would just watch people like chop vegetables. Like I always
Mhm.
thought that was like because they were just amazing at it. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? But like even just like that's how I learned how to like how you properly like dice an onion, like and
How do you
stuff like that.
properly dice an onion? Maybe you'll have
How,
to do maybe you'll have to
I
do a
could
quick
do
video
yeah.
tutorial.
Well, I mean, like, and I mean, we're just like, well, I guess properly and like in the most efficient way to do it. It's like,
Mhm.
and you watch somebody do it one time, you're like, I would never in a million years have ever done that. But
Okay.
that's genius, and
Mhm.
I'm only gonna dice an
All
onion this
right.
way from now on.
Now,
Like,
now I'm super curious, and I don't want to trust anything on YouTube. It's got to come from you, Luke. You've got
well,
to.
I probably should just find a video on YouTube that was like this.
Okay.
This
There you
guy
go.
edited and made this video much better than I probably could have.
Hmm.
But it's like this, and it's like, but it's like, wow, I just would have constantly just, made like, like disc and then
Hmm.
like chop those up from there. But no, 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 don't do
Yeah.
that at all. And it's like,
See, I
but
cut mine in half, and then I cut that part, and then usually and then maybe dice that part.
so
Does
you
that make
cut,
sense?
you cut, so like, like like where the root side is basically, they
Yeah.
got two sides, and like where the
Hmm.
one side is more almost like it's like that butt of it kind of keeps it together.
Hmm.
Don't cut that off. Cut
Don't
the
cut
other
that.
side of that off,
Okay.
which then that creates a flat bottom. And then from there you slice that down the middle. So now you got two halves.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then but that root side's keeping that guy
Uh-huh.
together essentially, right? So then from there you just make small slits um, through the onion,
Uh-huh.
small slits, but it's still held together. It's still one
Right.
half. It's still half an onion, and then you kind of make a small slit, like if this is the onion, make a
Mm-hmm.
small slit like here and here, and then from there you go boom, 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 boom,
Because
boom, and when you
then
go boom, 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 boom,
it
boom,
doesn't technically ever separate.
it
So
doesn't
you don't
separate
have
until you get to that point.
that
So it's
very
basically
end.
a preparation to separate it, and
Yes.
then it's like wow, that's how they get those perfectly diced onions. Like
Yes.
that's so easy, It's
All
like the
right.
first time you watch somebody like just mess with an avocado,
Mm-hmm.
or like a mango, or like it's like that's genius.
How to chop an onion.
Like just a
Well, and
little
the
bit.
fingers too. Like whenever
Yes,
curving my fingers and
yes.
then yeah, that I need that a little more practice.
We're
Well, and even like where you position your hands on the knife like that. Maybe I should
yes.
watch some cooking shows.
And even I mean,
Mhm.
like a sharp knife is safer than a dull knife and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I need to
Dull knife.
sharpen mine
Yeah, no, I mean,
for
it's
sure.
100% real. I mean, if you take like a tomato or something, sometimes if you got a dull knife, that skin actually
Uh-huh.
can be a little hard to actually penetrate,
Mm-hmm.
and that dull knife can just go whoop and
Right.
just slip off, But if you got,
Mm-hmm.
one of those, no, like, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But it's almost like counterintuitive. Like, what do you mean a sharper knife is less dangerous than a dull
Right.
knife?
No,
You
that
know?
makes
Yeah.
sense. I need to sharpen
So
mine actually.
yeah.
So what are your favorite things to cook, or like what's your perspective? You don't really menu plan, do you? Because
No.
you're pretty much cooking for you. So you just go to the
Yeah.
grocery store and buy a bunch of food and then or do you stop by? Or I mean now things are a little bit different, but how do you do that?
So when life was normal.
Mm.
A lot of times, I would really go to grocery store almost every night, like in a way, and just, I mean, I
Whatever
keep like
you're in the
onions
mood
and stuff like
for.
that on hand. I keep talking about onions for some reason, but they're a staple to most
Yeah.
things you cook, by the way.
Hmm.
But it's like stuff like that on hand. But yeah, so now I'm obviously buying a little more in bulk, and I just keep a lot of veggies around. Like I'm a big spaghetti squash fan, and I use that as like my rice,
Hmm.
or pasta, which I don't eat a lot of, like, um I don't eat pasta very much, or really actually at all, to be honest.
Hmm.
And I don't eat a lot of rice, and so, but spaghetti squash is nice, I think, just because it's a base flavor. It really doesn't manipulate dishes that much.
Hmm. Doesn't change it.
It gives a dish body. I mean, that's basically what
Hmm.
rice does. Rice or pot. It's a neutral, flat, whatever, that just
Hmm.
gives a dish body, and then you can build flavors from there. And spaghetti squash kind of's got that. I mean, there's a little flavor, but you get over it.
Yeah.
And there's a way, you just don't overcook it, and it still has a little texture, and it's kind of like an al dente
Al dente.
noodle kind of deal. It's kind of goofy, but so yeah.
You just so you just wing it. You just get stuff at the store, and then based on what you're in the mood for.
I'm a huge curry fan. I
Hmm.
love all things curry, so I always have a ton of curry, like not paste, but like powder, but like
Different kinds.
just yeah, various different kinds of curry, like what's the word, like um spices, curry spice, I guess.
Hmm.
And literally sometimes, I mean, I can take that and some water and mix it up, and that's your sauce. And you throw some salt in there, and, like, I always have lemon or lime. I think, like, adding acid to any
Hmm.
meal is
Yeah.
probably the most important thing that nobody does.
Hmm.
I just think it just brightens it up. It really doesn't add a lemon
Yeah.
tart flavor or lime tart flavor, unless you just put a boatload in there, I guess. But,
Hmm.
like, you're not making a margarita, like, you're making curry. So, um, but I think it just kind of lifts the flavors, and it's something that
Hmm.
it's so simple. You just do it. You do maybe at the beginning and right at the end. And
Hmm.
I learned that, again, in restaurants. I've literally watched one of the greatest chefs I ever worked for, and every dish he would just a line would just go over everything before a plate went out. And I was
Just
like,
finished it that way.
Chef, why you do that? He's like, acid, man. Everything's
Yeah.
acid.
It's interesting. I just made a dish tonight. Cuban pork hash. I'll post it probably whenever we're done wrapping up with this conversation. And at the end of it was adding a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. So it was, nothing that really changed the flavor at all. Cause I mean, there's a lot in that particular dish, but yeah, it was like adding that last bit of it. I
Vinegar is
think.
something that you can definitely cook with too, that you can throw in there to kind of add that kind of, just that extra layer of,
Mhm.
just brings, I don't know, just brings stuff out that doesn't, but yet doesn't, yeah, completely manipulate
Yeah.
the dish. So in the
But
end, I just cook a lot of veggies, like,
mhm.
I guess,
Yeah. Well, and paying attention to, I think when you do see, like, I think that's what recipes have done for me is kind of similar to what you're saying with how, being in a restaurant is if you learn like the way that the different pieces make the whole, then you can recreate that in another, other scenarios or whatever. So
Right.
like that's kind of
No,
what,
yeah.
since I haven't really ever been in a restaurant, like that idea of paying attention to, how things kind of come together and how you can just keep doing that consistently or doing that in different ways. It doesn't always have to be the same exact, kind of ingredients or whatever.
Right. Well, as we talked about, I guess, off camera or almost in a way, but like, just, baking and whatnot, and you were saying that you had to write down that banana bread recipe, just
Hmm.
because it's like okay, like, I keep kind of switching it, but I need to really kind of, because when you are baking, like, that's what I find annoying about baking, is like, you have to be exact, like, it's basically you're doing
Hmm.
science, like, it's a science project,
Yeah.
and science, like, in my opinion, like, it's cool, but I think it sucks, so, like,
Yeah.
no thanks. And
It's more fun to
cooking's
be
more,
intuitive and
yeah, I think,
experimental and
yeah,
hmm
I think, there's really no rules with cooking, and I think just be open. If you have the idea, just do it. I mean, if it was terrible, like screw it. It
I
sucked.
know.
Okay, like learn from it and
Exactly.
go from there. Like, I mean, you think any chef out there like was like just good off the rip? Like, you know, like you think any guitar player is good off the? I mean, no. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, sometimes
exactly what
practice.
happened that night that when I made the falafel encrusted uh, chicken tenders or something like that. Jason
Right.
came in the kitchen and I was literally standing like this and I was holding the box and I was like, you know, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Well, I'm thinking I could use this as a breading."
Yeah,
And he goes,
absolutely.
"What?" You know, and he's pretty intuitive and, you know, he's very creative in the kitchen. So he ended up Googling it just to see like if that was a thing. And it was, I mean, there were actually recipes, you know, for it, but it was, sometimes I just go in my pantry and I just kind of like look around and I'm like, what could I put together just for the hell of it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Just to
it's
see.
hard to be, it is hard to be different. And that's, you know, like what we discussed earlier too, in the sense of like, I think I'm like relatively like what I cook, I think is boring, but like, I feel like because I really, in the end, like, it's like, I just do the same, like maybe 20 thoughts, like 20 dishes I have in my head that's just like, this is just my repertoire of
Mm-hmm.
what I know how to cook kind of thing. But like,
And then you add jalapenos.
and then you add jalapenos. Yes. Yeah, I cook a lot of. I mean, they're not that spicy, and they're delicious. And again, jalapenos are nice because they don't really, I think, contribute too much flavor, but they definitely add
Yeah.
just a touch. They're not even that spicy, but they do add that level
I don't
of.
know.
I do like
They make my face like
oh yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah,
I have definitely
but
one.
I understand that I have a very strong spice
Mm-hmm.
tolerance,
Yeah.
which I'm lucky. Anybody that's like, I can't handle spicy food, I'm like, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
what,
fun.
how much broth did you end up making? Or did you get out of your
I got
broth from
like
yesterday?
so what are those? Those are probably like quart sizes. So I think I got
Mm-hmm.
3 quarts,
Nice. Okay.
which is nice. And
And are
I
you
cooked that.
saving that? Are you putting them in quart sizes and then freezing them, or what are you doing with?
So I'll probably actually eat. Actually, I posted in the group actually what I made tonight with the
Mm-hmm.
broth. So I basically took the broth, some of it, and boiled it, like
Mm-hmm.
basically brought it to heat. And I just took like fresh ingredients. I chopped up like scallions, cilantro. I had like a zucchini that needed to like go basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like a 7-minute egg that turned out like pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just boiled some quick shrimp
Mm.
and threw that in there, and that's what I had for dinner. Oh, and an avocado.
Was there
Uh,
lime on top? You had to put the lime,
I
right?
did, I did dash it with some lime. Actually, this is the lime. Just to prove I'm not lying.
I
That's
love
funny.
it.
That's good. Um,
I'll have to check.
but but yeah, no. It's still a little. It's not. I mean, the weather's been perfect here, but at night it's been like, it's like I'm outside right now. It's like a little cool. So like
Mhm.
I went for a run today, and there's something like soup
Yeah.
always just sounds like a little warmy after like
Mhm.
kind of this, when this weather's going on and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so um, I'll eat that, and I made chili for the week, and my chilies, you know, I use like so chili is like, really, you know, if you think about the word chili, it's actually a chili,
Mhm.
like an actual chili, like a
Mhm.
jalapeno,
Right.
or like dried chilies. So like I take like a whole bunch of like I literally take like 3 different dried chilies. One was like a New Mexico chili. One was I think guajillo. I'm not pronouncing that right. And an ancho chili.
Uh-huh.
So I took those
Are
and I
they,
like
so
threw
they're
them.
the dried full ones?
They're dry,
Or
full.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take
Mhm.
those and I like throw those in the oven just to kind of toast them, maybe with some like
Uh-huh.
garlic, I don't know,
Mhm.
like 10 minutes, however long, just don't burn them. And then I take that and I literally just like take probably like maybe 10 tomatoes,
Uh-huh.
and I blend those up with the dried chilies. And then I throw like chili powder and stuff like that in there too. And then
Uh-huh.
that's basically like the base of the chili. And then I don't, I used to make chili with beans, but for the whole,
Carb thing. Yeah.
not to
Mhm.
say the negative word, but the whole carb
Yeah,
aspect of
no.
things, I've taken them out. So
Yeah,
now it's
beans
just
can be
beet
a
soup.
challenge.
Um,
Mhm.
kind of thing, as I
Yeah.
call it.
Yes, believe me, I get highly made fun of in my family because my chili does not have beans in it either. And
Oh no, I used to be that.
They like to
I'd
call
be
it
making fun of you too.
chili soup.
Yeah.
They don't
No,
like
I call it, so I jokingly call it meat soup. Like I'm almost over it. Like that I'm doing this, but I'm doing it for the right reasons, and I know I am. So
Yeah.
I
So
let myself have
do you
fun.
add water for more liquid in there?
So
Or?
conveniently enough, I was just by chance I would add water or red wine
Oh,
or
okay.
like a stout or a brown,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a beer basically.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't add beer that much. I am more, since I do like it to make things relatively spicy,
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, and kind of play with that game a little bit. Red
Mm-hmm.
wine's kind of nice, because it does bring a sugar component to things,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of can
Cuts that.
balance that spiciness a little bit and kind of
Mm-hmm.
bring things a little more harmoniously together,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe others could enjoy it too. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so that's red wine's really good to make with chili. But yesterday I had been cooking stock all day, so I just took a little bit of stock and
Oh, put
threw it in
that in
chili.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's where I get yelled at because I'll want to put broth in there, and then Jason's like, "You can't put broth in chili."
Yeah, you can.
That makes it soup. That makes it not chili.
No, because you just reduce it down more. I mean, like, and it's just, it's fun, but you can't
Mhm.
you don't want to put a lot. Well, it depends, I guess, what kind of texture you want in the end. If you want
Right.
like
Yeah.
more soupy chili, then
Yeah.
go right ahead, man. Like,
Hmm.
it's, you're eating it.
Yeah. Versus
Uh,
that more the paste kind of, or a thicker,
right,
denser one.
right.
So, what is your most favorite or fun thing to make to cook?
Yeah, I mean, well, Mexican.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, yeah, it, people, when they think like Mexican food, I think it's like I mean, it's like cheap, like street food, man. I mean, they're
Hmm.
not like a really like that country in general. It's not like they're just like got a boatload of money and making like 5-course meals. It's all like, I mean, street tacos and whatnot. The reason why they're supposed to be cheap, like we've kind of glorified them to be like this, like, oh, it's supposed to be like a homemade, like, tortilla, like, corn
Hmm.
maybe, and then like meat that's seasoned really well,
Depth of
and then
flavor, not doesn't have to
yeah,
be
and
fancy.
cilantro and onions, and
Hmm.
again lime,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Hmm.
And actually, I made and I like making various salsas and stuff like that. And so I actually got this one of the restaurants I worked at, and I just get it. It was like I would never think just to like take a tomato and just like literally put it on a pan
Hmm.
and cook the tomato. I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds weird. You're not gonna chop that tomato? It's like, no. And so they would just blister
Hmm.
tomatoes, like literally, I mean, blacken the just heck out of them. And that they would do that with the onions and the garlic
Well,
and the jalapeno.
and yeah, and that's exactly how Jason always made his salsa. Like he
Yeah,
always blistered everything and blackened everything.
and
And then whenever we found the Muir Glen that had the fire roasted tomatoes, he started bypassing using real tomatoes and using those canned ones.
right.
So then we went through the manufacturing process and him trying to actually source fire roasted tomatoes for manufacturing. It was kind of a challenge actually. So
I
it
remember
was
you. I remember you mentioning that actually. Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's
Hmm.
especially
Well, so what is
because
it to be, what would you say how would you describe, like, what does the fire roasting do? So like, you can buy tomatoes in a can that are just regular. So say if you're not going to actually blister your own tomatoes or roast your own tomatoes or whatever. If what do you think? What does that roasting flavor add to a dish?
so what I think it really does actually, it just kind of takes the bitterness out of things, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Like just to start with it, so like if you were to take those raw ingredients, like you were to take a
Mm-hmm.
like exactly what you're going to use to make this salsa, like
Mm-hmm.
so it's like 4 tomatoes, a jalapeno, or in my case 2 jalapenos, and a whole red onion, and a garlic clove. If you were to take all those all those ingredients
Mm-hmm.
and blend those, it's gonna taste terrible.
Yeah.
Like because you need I mean, that's basically that's why, I mean, a lot of people don't like raw vegetables for a
Food.
reason.
Yeah.
Like they're
Uh-huh.
not like they need heat just to kind of just to
Bring out that
bring them
that.
down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and just, even textures too can be sometimes tough and weird.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. That's true. It does. Like, I think about that, the difference between doing like a fresh pico that is totally the raw ingredients versus something that has been
it's
cooked.
not very different. But with the pico, like, what you're probably gonna add a lot more, lime to it to kind of to help with that.
You're basically cooking it in a different way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah. I mean, it's delicious, but it's night and day different.
Yeah.
Where you need something to really help with that. Where really in the end, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I just thought it was like really cool just to like take just tomatoes. Like, you don't have to do anything. It's like the most laziest thing in the world. Like you literally take a pan and you turn your burner on, and you just put the veggies in the pan. Like, you don't chop anything. It's hilarious. Like, I thought it was comical almost. Like, I almost feel like, I feel like it's like
you were cheating the system,
cheating or something. Yeah, I feel like. And then at the end, like the end result, it's like, this is amazing. Like, this is a joke almost,
So do you ever have any interest in like making your own salsa and jarring or canning it? Like what Jason has
I've never,
done?
what's funny is I think I remember we had talked about this one time in the sense of it was either Jason always wanted to do that. And like, it was always a thing that was discussed, but like, it was just kind of, that was it.
Yeah.
And then you, for Christmas, got him like the decal or the logo and stuff.
Yep.
It kind of made it more, I guess, real. Like, and it made, it's like, hey, here's a baby, like, or a plant, put some water on that thing, grow it. So I can't really say that I've actually thought about ever doing something like that. But like, nobody's also, I mean, you would be the first person to even like put that idea in my head that was even like plausible. Like, it's like, can you just do that? It's like, I guess you
can't just do that. You gotta make a jalapeno lime sauce of something.
Right. Yeah. Well, so really, which they're a little harder to come by, is tomatillos are great.
Yeah.
And so, but with those, I don't like to blister those. I like to boil those down. So you just take a pot of water.
You don't roast them?
No, I boil those actually. I kind of like almost you get a little bit of different texture out of them. I feel like, I don't know.
Okay. I have to remember
but
that.
I boil those and the jalapeno, and then raw onion and always cilantro, and then obviously, lime, salt. And it's basically the same ingredients minus the tomatillos and the way you're cooking. So I boil those and I blister the tomatoes. But yeah, so I love, like, if I were to cook for like a good amount of people, it's fiesta time. Like, we got tequila flying, we're doing it. Like, it's just, it's easy, it's simple, it's crowd pleasing. It's
you don't have to overcomplicate it for it to be just absolutely memorable.
No, it's great.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to whenever we can travel, maybe we'll make a road trip to Atlanta.
Yeah, come on.
All righty. Well, this was awesome. I can't wait. I'm so glad that I recorded this so I can watch it again myself, because I feel like I learned some things, and I'm going to have to, my biggest takeaways are I need to sharpen my knife, and I'm going to cut onions a different way, and boiling my tomatillos. I'll remember that one for sure.
Well, just try it. Again, I mean, there's no rules. So if you like it that way, then
there's no kitchen hell. You're not going to go to kitchen hell.
Yeah, no. It's the beauty side, I guess, of cooking.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. It was a virtual hug.
Virtual hug. Good seeing you. Always good talking. It's always fun.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.